We'll probably come in a little bit later. So welcome everybody. We decided to basically call this a membership meeting to share ideas and what's going on. Anything that anybody has to add as we go, we can talk about that. Brad, I pulled up the meeting topics that you had sent out. I'm going to just kind of go through that as we go. So I'll start with me about what's going on in our world. Our students will be coming back at the University of Virginia on February 1st. I guess they're coming back somewhere around about the 25th to start. But they should be back in class by February 1st. And I thought I read that there was a 14-day quarantine with students to, they want students to hang out at their house or whatever, not be milling around and stuff, to not get the virus and then come back with it. I believe there is a COVID test that they have to take before they return. And let's see, what else with that? They changed it from where the students could be as many as 10 to a group. I think they reduced that to 6 to a group once they come back. They're hoping this postseason, getting over Christmas, Thanksgiving, all that stuff, they're expecting things to ramp up. So they're trying to be conservative and, try to be as safe as possible. There was something else I wanted to say about UVA, but it'll come to me in a little bit. As far as the vaccine goes, we have a medical center here, so us in the elevator department kind of qualify for that. Was it maybe 1A or 1B? I get them mixed up. But anyway, we qualified for that list to get a shot. I was thinking this might be interesting to some of our members. I was one of those standoffish ones who did not want to get a shot until I saw it affected other people negatively. But knowing that here at UVA, the areas we work in, they have required in the past the flu shots to be mandatory. So I'm pretty sure the COVID will wind up being mandatory. So instead of waiting, I'd heard enough details out there in the news and stuff about who's getting sick with what and all that. And Jamie, I'll speak for you since you're on here. I know on one particular Friday, Jamie got the Moderna vaccine. They ran out shortly after, and I wound up with the Pfizer vaccine. I think they were using it up. I'm looking at Glenn's facial expressions. But anyway, speaking for Jamie and myself again, the only thing I think we really got was a sore arm for about 1 day. We didn't have any side effects, things like that. We're curious about what will happen with the second shot. Don't really know. You hear some negativity based around that too. So we're going to be some guinea pigs, I guess, and we're on the front line, so we'll figure out what it does. Usually the flu doesn't affect me whether I get a shot or not. My immune system's pretty strong, so don't know if this plays a part in it or not, as far as me not getting side effects. But I think Jamie's pretty strong with that stuff too. That's what's going on at UVA. And that one thing I was trying to think of still didn't come back to me. So is there anybody else who would like to speak a little bit about what's going on with where you are? How about Dave in Canada?
Dave in Canada. Good morning. We don't have any students here at the university other than out of 131 buildings, we have 8 if it's in science. As far as I know, there's no signs of anybody coming back anytime soon. We're still planning on September for students to come back. And I also do believe we still have foreign exchange students here that were here in August that can't go home. Other than that, not just on elevators, but buildings we're trying to maintain. The weather's colder here now. And you have the same problems we have every winter, pipes freezing and what else? I'm sorry, guys. I'm tired. I've been up all night. So I think that's about all for us. I don't know what's going on from the government side of things for education. I'm kind of out of the loop.
You had mentioned a while ago that Ontario might be shut down again for a month.
Yeah, we are. We're in a lockdown right now.
Still, okay.
Till I want to say middle of February, and it's probably going to get extended again. They want the case count slower than 1,000, and I believe we're at 3,500 right now a day. And it is mainly the big cities that the if you want to call them infections are at. If you get out into the rural communities, nobody's heard of anybody that has it. So
your financial impact is going to be huge on y'all then if your students aren't coming back till September.
Oh, I think first off, I think our financial side of it is different than you guys. I think we're government subsidized very heavily here. Yeah, we're in the hole huge, like billions of dollars. We have lots of staff laid off. Yeah, actually thousands of staff laid off.
Wow.
So we've been fortunate in maintenance. We've managed to keep everybody so far. But nobody seems to know what's going on. And we don't even have I'm not sure if you've heard on the news, but recently Canada, we don't even have a vaccine. Pfizer or anybody that was shipping to us, it's not happening right now. So everything's on hold.
Wow. Well, we wish you the best up there. I know the last item I was thinking of is to do with finances. Our students, so we were lacking some students and we were doing like a hybrid program for the fall and all that. But now with the start of this spring, February 1st, it looks like most all of our students are back and we will have in-person classes, which is going to be, it's going to be good for our finances and our budgets and things like that because the students are back. Of course, that's where the money comes from. So that's a good thing for us if we can just keep the virus, at bay and people not doing dumb stuff and hanging out and spreading it around. So that was a good thing for us, not so much for Dave.
Yes.
Brad, what about you, Penn State?
Well, we don't, like, unlike a bunch of other schools, we don't have an on-campus hospital, learning hospital. At main campus, our hospital is a mile down the road. So with the job responsibilities of all our employees, we're not considered first responders or high priority. So we're just, waiting for the low priority vaccines to roll out like general population then. The modifications that they did for the university-wide and, main campus plus the 23, 26 Commonwealth campuses we have across the state, they shortened the spring semester. So the students started virtual learning, I believe, this week, and then no students are coming back onto any campus until February 15th. They'll start the in-person learning then. And then they canceled spring break also to, to keep the, possibility of infections down. But, anything else, we're just in a waiting pattern like the general population is. We are setting up multiple testing stations and everything to make sure the students get the, negative test results before they can, start classes. But that's about it. We're just waiting.
Any other universities have y'all had any experience with the vaccine or anything different than what we're talking about that y'all are doing different or seeing different? It's working or not working?
Eddie, this is Dan Anderson at the U of M, and I've got to pull out at 10 o'clock, so maybe I'll just share a few things here. It was 10 above zero this morning, first of all, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and it's going to be 3 below on Friday. So
17 in Chicago, baby.
It's balmy where all you guys sound like. So
does water freeze up there?
We haven't broken a lot of pipes yet, but it's only January, so we'll see. So our fall semester started would typically start the Tuesday after Labor Day, and it started 2 weeks later this last year. And then as of Thanksgiving, there was no return to classroom activities. Everybody was 100% online for the rest of the fall semester. We had a online course rate of about 70%. I'm assuming that that's going to be similar for the spring semester. I was looking for messages from the Office of the President that might offer some insights. I don't think a lot of things are going to change. The move-ins and move-outs in the residence halls were staggered back in September and then again in December. A lot of students pulled out. It was, you know, with the sheltering procedures and all that, I think it was real hard. I have, my director has her youngest son is a freshman, and another assistant director that I work with, her son was a freshman. So they had some experiences where they got out of the res halls before the end of the semester. You know, those refunds and the fact that the res halls were 60% of full occupancy drove some of their cost implications, as well as in athletics and parking and, you know, those entities that are income generating units. The positive frequency rates of students in classrooms and research spaces was low. There is on-campus testing. We do have some staff that do custodial services in clinics, although most of our clinic enterprise is now in a separate facility managed by a physicians enterprise organization there. So we're scheduled to start the spring semester the Tuesday after the MLK holiday. So we're in session as of this week now. And I haven't heard too much about spring break or what's going to transpire as we move forward. So we do, as many of you may have, we have ongoing COVID research that's gone on in some of our facilities. So there's been a fair amount of discussion about posting and maintaining, you know, safety for both the occupants, the researchers, and the folks that provide services and stuff. So we had furlough for a lot of people up until the last pay period for 2020, and there's been a furlough initiative again for phase 2 for the rest of the fiscal year, which ends on June 6th or June 30th of 2021. So that's kind of what we had. We did have our resident elevator services. We reduced hours for the months of July, August, and September, but we're fully staffed now. At one point in early November, we had only 3 mechanics working of the regular 7 that are working on the campus because they either had COVID or were quarantined because they were close to somebody who did. And fortunately, with the occupancies we had, we weren't too challenged with that. And we got through that, so that was good. That's pretty much all I got.
Are y'all seeing any traction with the vaccine up there being distributed? Do y'all you have a medical center there, but you might not.
There's, you know, some of, you know, when the testing rolled out, Minnesota was used as a model of some really, you know, successful testing results in terms of the volume of tests and the numbers and stuff. But the distribution of vaccine has been slow here too. I don't know how much is sitting on the shelf and how much is out there, but you know, it's slow. You know, the public health with the state want to see it pick up. They're developing some plans to get it out there to more people and things like that. We still are subject to some governor's orders, and you know, there's been a lot of politics with that here because we have a bicameral legislature that's part Republican and part Democrat, so they like to flex their muscles a little bit, and that's kind of been bumpy for the governor. So, but he does have some emergency powers. Our infection rate throughout the state right now has become less than 5% of that. I don't, everybody hears that number. So that's good news for us because we were up around 13% back in the fall and early winter. So things are improving here. So, but that's what's going on here. So it's good to see everybody.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about from their viewpoints as far as the vaccines or colleges or anything like that? So we had another line item here about what Brad had sent out with discuss new products being used in vertical transportation, including pluses, minuses, different ways to utilize them effectively. Brad, with that being said, did you have anything in mind there that you wanted to, or knew somebody wanted to speak about something in particular, other than, you know, trying to use touch buttons and
just any different products that are being used just because of the coronavirus, and also we had a line item in that we talked about, are anybody's specification guidelines being changed because of it?
And I will say our guidelines here at UVA has not changed due to it. I think the biggest thing they've done in our buildings was the HVAC filtering. They use some different type of filters, a better filtration system. So we had investigated buttons, we had investigated some UV lighting type things, fans. We really didn't act on any of it. Is there anyone here on this call that did do some of that, maybe touch buttons or covers or anything like that? No. Mark, I know you had talked about, I know on the spot, right? I know you had talked about it one time before you found the home at WorkTech. You were looking at some type of UVA light mechanism. Do you have anything WorkTech or anything like that that you could get some information on?
I think that it's all over the board, and it was actually a device that generated hydrogen peroxide, and that would just spill over on the devices and kill virus. Obviously, that was something that was being marketed by a company, Stanley Elevator, out of New Hampshire. I think that if you look at everything, and I know that everybody's afraid and everybody looks at that daunting elevator push button, and in the reality, if you counted how many times your hands came in contact with surfaces that hundreds or thousands of people have already come in contact, then all of a sudden you're afraid to push a damn button, I think it becomes a little bit ridiculous. The other thing is that we are talking about, I would be more concerned about the air in an entire building. We know that as far as, how many times you can turn over the air in a building, let alone an elevator, because that would be a bigger concern. You guys, you know, some of these universities, they've been around for, you know, a couple hundreds of years. And what's the air quality in those buildings? I mean, Eddie, those buildings that are behind you, what kind of HVAC systems there? So I think that our elevator systems are, I think that that's what we all focus on, but I don't think that that should be the biggest concern as far as, there's always the stairs as we always, you know, that's just, but it's not as much the contact as you are in a confined space with how many people. That's the other thing. You know, you know, from the East Coast, there's an elevator, comes down and there's room for one person, 2 more people to get on. The further west you move. So it's really more of the contact being close proximity because, you know, all the different schemes and the different ideas, there are a lot of them out there. And as far as the non-contact and stuff like that, I think that that's kind of gone by the wayside. The other one is destination. You think about it, and there's a huge move for folks to be putting destination and using an app that would be on your phone, which we all have in our hands almost 24/7, and having that linking up to, with it being within proximity of a of the hall button instead of typing in on a kiosk, your phone's going to replicate the kiosk and give the ability to set a call. But again, this is all over, you know, if you think about it, you just opened up the doors and everything like that with your hand, and you're afraid to push that button. You know, it just becomes absurd as far as if you really break it down. So that's all I have. Thanks for the soapbox I can pound on. So
Nice. Hey, that's what we do here. Anybody else have any comments on? Oh, sure, Linda.
I have a question. We ruled out all the other things, but I've been asked to check into the cab air purifiers because of the perceived confined space in the elevator shaft, a crowd getting in there, and even though they're doing some of the overall HVAC in the building, the concern is in the elevator car itself. I'm curious, has anybody else ruled it out, ruled it in, or considering putting in the cab air purifiers? Basically, I want somebody to give me ammunition so I can say, no, we don't want it, unless somebody disagrees with me.
So we considered it. That's about as far as we went because I'm lazy. We were hoping for the building HVAC stuff to really pan out. It seems like so many buildings switched over for that. We didn't do it. Glenn, I think you sell something similar for the fans in the elevators with the UV, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have much feedback from customers or anything on that?
There's thousands of them out there now, all right? And properties that are, let's put it this way. If you lived in a high-rise building, all right, and there was commercial property in the building, the people that live in that high-rise building deal with this every day. So a lot of those people also have money in those high-rise buildings. So what was it to put on a UV fan and replace the existing fan that cost $500, you know? So that's where all of them were going, for people that it isn't affecting them, all right? The universities, you are all being affected by this, all right? And that's the reason you don't see any of the universities purchasing these things, because you're on furloughs, you're on every conceivable thing. You're giving all the money to the HVAC systems. And, you know, so, hey, the elevator is, even though it's a huge part of the operation budget, it always gets forgotten. So, you know, it's a matter of what you want to do, you know.
Would you have a customer hospital that Linwood could reach out to and talk about their experiences, someone who installed it? Is that what you need, Linwood?
Well, yeah, I got it there in Christ Hospital. I mean, my brother and sister were born right there. They're right down the street. They have them. There's buildings all over Chicago, all over Texas, all over the country that have been putting these things in. All right, but for the most part, they're not properties or, you know, industries that are having an economic problem. all right? Like the restaurant industry, all right? So if we were in the restaurant industry where you just probably aren't going to be in business anymore, would you want to put a fan in? No, I'm not thinking so. And if we're in the university business, all right, and we got furloughed employees and we're trying to bring them all in, we're all praying for this vaccine, all right? That's the magic bullet, all right? Are all these things good? Will they continue to be good? Yeah, all right? That's the one thing about the fan. No matter what, you're going to have flu germs and you're going to have viruses and you're going to have things. So in the future, maybe it's proactive that we are going to be starting to do these things. And that's one thing I would say. I mean, the little copper things that we sell for the buttons are so cheap, so inexpensive, and it works by, you know, copper and fingers. You put one on there, you don't even know what's on there, all right? And as far as the fan, we always have a fan in there anyway, so why not upgrade it to something that's going to do something good for you, you know? So there's some reasons to have this stuff.
Now, Glenn, would adding these, you know, equipment like the fan, would that require an alteration permit from the? No, it wouldn't. Okay. Okay.
No. Do you every time you change a fan, do you get one?
True. Right. Right. But some of the other things, like, you know, like Mark was talking about the proximity system and everything, we're just wrapping up a project at our library where we're modernizing four of the elevators up there, and we talked about the proximity thing because of the, you know, the employees didn't want to wait after they went to the Starbucks cafe, you know, didn't want to wait, but you know, a lot of those systems are proprietary, and then of course they're expensive then too, and so then adding that on to, you know, our regular major maintenance budget, it just makes it cost prohibitive to do any more, you know, projects on our list.
Yeah, I see the spectrum of this UV fan phenomena that has hit us, and some of it is, and I've heard and attended some of these webinars with their products, and some go from $4,000 you start at price, and then you add on to get whatever it's needed from there to a few $100. All right, so it's really, you know, it's got to be smart about what you're doing. And one thing is that fans have always been in our industry, and there is a code written about the fans, all right, and what it's supposed to be. But for the most part, you know, the UV fan in the future is we're still going to have colds, we're still going to have the flu, we're still going to have germs that are going to go in an elevator. It's never going to stop, all right? So if we did put one of these things on, will there be a benefit to it after the pandemic?
Right.
Yes, there will be, all right? For all the other things that are out there, that's, I guess, how you should judge it, all right? So after the pandemic, all right, is it worth having it there, all right?
But hey, Glenn, those fans are exhaust fans. They're not blowers. And then when you're flipping it into a UV fan, you've converted it into a blower, and you're drawing stagnant air out of the hoistway, pushing it into the elevator. If the building, if it works like it should be working, if you have a high enough CFM, fan, and you conditioned your air, you're going to draw it in, and you'll be turning over the air in that cab at a more frequent, at a high frequency also. So it would be important, instead of having those little bathroom fans, that you have an actual exhaust fan. That's just, of course, that's an opinion, but those fans are not blowers; they're exhaust fans. And by installing a UV, you're actually flipping that and turning its direction of flow.
And what does the code say about that, Mark?
Well, that would defeat the purpose of having slits at the bottom of the cab that's supposed to be drawing in air. And the whole purpose, or the whole intent, is that when those doors open, you're drawing in fresh air and you're exhausting the old air into the hoistway. That's, as far as the spec, it calls for a fan. They're not, and really the standard has to be, they have to specify a a CFM.
All right, so apparently that wasn't the code, but to understand the code, all right, the code reflects to a glass elevator, Mark, all right? Mm-hmm. And the glass elevator, because the outside sun hits the glass elevator and superheats the elevator. So that's where the code got written, all right? And there's so many revolutions of air that we're supposed to turn over in a car. It doesn't say anything about the direction. It has to do with changing the air in the car so that a person that's in there that has sun going on them doesn't get cooked. All right.
But what's unique about it? So if you're talking about a glass elevator, Glenn, the sun is also the sun is also beating on that glass hoistway, and the temperature in that glass hoistway is also excessive too.
So, Mark, that has nothing to do with the code, though. All right, that's just what the code's written for. All right. Now, an exhaust fan going either direction, it doesn't say that. And as far as it going that direction, the air in the shaft has never been stale. All the hoistways are open. We've been venting elevators in a hoistway forever. All right. That's just how it is. Okay. We're looking at trying to do something positive, not debate it, not tell you that it's this is something that's good. It can be done. And there's a lot of things that are out there. All right. And as experts, we should let people know that. That's all.
Anybody else? So I wanted to follow up with the vaccine. So if we do this meeting again in February, I think the first is when I get that second one. So I'll be able to inform y'all of how it affected me, if at all. And so anybody who's worried about the vaccine, thinking about it like I was, that might give you a little peace of mind, more so if I don't have any negative effects. I know many out there haven't. So what about any other topics? Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up or discuss?
The vaccine. All right. So it's coming out of Michigan, everybody. And my family lives in Michigan. All right. Everybody needs to spread the word to get onto Walgreens and CVS and all these places to get this vaccine. That's the thing. Everybody doesn't know what to do and how to do it. People in Michigan were getting the vaccine out of Walgreens because there's nobody coming in to get them right now. It's absolutely amazing what's going on with the vaccine. But Michigan, and because it's being made there, is ahead of everybody. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Here in Illinois, clueless. All right. So maybe I should move to Michigan.
Yeah, I think it comes down to each individual state and their communication, or the individual communities. It seems like here at UVA, it's been a lot of communication on it. Don't you think, James? As far as communication?
They've been big on communicating here, and we got a couple of doctors that have been like working with Moderna and Pfizer at getting the medication here and getting the vaccine. And yeah, it's been a huge deal here. It was on the news and everything, and the first doctor that got it. So yeah, they've been really selling it here at UVA.
I think that's the key, is the communication, which it always is. But anyway, I'll keep y'all informed of my results and hopefully how effortless it was. And Brad, anything else? I'm looking at the list that we had that you had sent out on the topic. Anything else you can think of?
No. These are the main things we wanted to discuss.
Okay. And as always, everybody, if you have any suggestions, something else you want to bring up for the next meeting or whatever, please do so. We'll be working on, whatever we can that our members need. We want to try to stay, at the front of this thing so that hopefully one day we can get back in person. That's the main goal. As I said about our finances, it's looking better than what we thought it was going to turn out. Whether that helps us in the near future with going to a conference or something like that, we'll have to wait and see. But at least it's better than what ours looked like it could be. Of course, Dave's looks terrible up in Canada. So, you know, everybody's different everywhere we go. So thank you all for joining today. And Brad will be in communication in the future with the next meeting. So thank you all.
Thank you all.
Good to see everybody.
Good day.
See you.
Bye.